The Gamecube, despite not selling well, has some heavy-hitting games that are still played and talked about by many people to this day, like Super Smash Bros. Melee, Mario Sunshine, Luigi's Mansion, Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, and so many more. But I'm here to talk about the best game from this era, Rayman 3 Hoodlum Havoc. I know that Rayman 3 isn't just for the GameCube, it also came out on the PS2 and Xbox. And I had this game on my GameCube when I first got one in the early 2000s, and this game just holds a lot of great memories. And I think it just might be one of my favorite games of all time, even though I have like 100 favorite games of all time. But anyways, Rayman 3 just holds a special place in my heart. So I've never played any of the other Rayman games other than Raving Rabbids, and I never really met any other person who's played Rayman 3, so I never really knew the general consensus of like how people like the game. So I went back to play the game to see how it holds up and see if it's not just nostalgia holding it up, and I'm going to give my thoughts and feelings from start to finish to this game. I know other people have done videos about this too, which are really good, but I just think about this game a lot and really want to get some of these thoughts off my chest. Rayman 3 was developed and published by Ubisoft and was released in 2003 for the GameCube, Xbox, and PS2. It was released on PC and Mac the next year, and an HD version was made for PS3, Xbox 360 in 2012, which is the version I'm replaying on the Xbox 360 for this video. It's the first game in the series to not be fully worked on by the previous creator, Michel Ansel, but I've never played the other games, so I have no reference for comparing it to the previous ones. The game's story is about stopping the evil Black Lum Andre that is swallowed by Rayman's friend Glowbox, platforming and fighting across different lands to find a cure to get Andre out of Glowbox. So I took notes over 4 days of me playing this game, so I'll just go through everything. The game starts off not as I expected it. The HD version is missing the intro music video playing the song Matter by Groove Armada, which isn't in the HD version due to licensing issues. The song is an absolute banger. I bought that song on iTunes and bumped that shit on my iPod Nano as a kid. So good. The game starts with a cutscene showing the main antagonist, the Black Lum Andre, who's turning all the red peaceful lums into black lums who start causing havoc. Hoodlum Havoc. Glowbox and Rayman are woken from their peaceful sleep by Murphy, this weird flying frog. Glowbox is scared and steals Rayman's hands and just runs away. Murphy flies away with a handless Rayman and the gameplay starts. It starts quite chaotic. You're being shot by hoodlums and moving back and forth to collect health. You have to collect enough health orbs to complete the level, and if not, it loops, and as a kid I remember on my first playthrough just looping like 4 times. I was a pretty stupid kid. After this, Murphy starts with the tutorial and explains the scoring system, which is racked up by collecting gems and defeating enemies. The points can be used on like bonus levels. I didn't unlock all of them on my playthroughs, but they just expand on some of the gameplay mechanics of Rayman and other characters. From what I played, they were pretty fun, and there's some exclusive games for the GameCube version and some 2-player games too. Some which can only be played with the Game Boy version of Rayman 3, which is just like a totally different version of Rayman 3 that kind of plays like the first game. Sorry I got sidetracked. Once I started moving around, I was instantly hit with a wave of nostalgia. The music was enchanting, the graphics were beautiful, and I was really happy to play this game again. And I played it with my wife, so it was really cool to show the game to her. That was so important to me as a kid. The tutorial continues on, you get to learn how to jump, hit, and use cool ass helicopter hair, which build up all the fundamental skills of platforming, which is super solid in this game. The controls feel very fluent and satisfying, the puzzles and platforming aren't super challenging, but very rewarding. The only downsides they say are the camera angles, which can be janky sometimes, and the backtracking if you fall off is pretty tedious, but I guess that's just a skill issue. Next up, after retrieving your hands, is learning the combat, which like the platforming is a lot of fun. You can charge your punches and punch head on or side to side to take on a variety of enemies, which switches up and keeps the combat fresh and fun. Another thing that keeps the platforming and combat fresh is the temporary abilities that are called combat fatigues.
Combat fatigues!
There are 5 different types. The Vortex that allows you to lower platforms and enemies, the Heavy Metal Fist that increases damage and destroys wooden barricades, the Lockjaw that allows you to swing off hooks or hook onto enemies to deal damage, the Shock Rocket that shoots a controllable missile to open up doors or defeat faraway enemies, and the Throttle Copter that just allows you to fly up in the air for a few seconds. So after getting your first ability and chasing down Andre, he's swallowed by a glowbox, and now the journey is to find a doctor to get the lum out of him. You then travel from the Fairy Castle to the Clearleaf Forest, and almost all of the big level transfers are done through flying on a rocket and jumping platform to platform in a weird psychedelic landscape, and I'm not a big fan of these levels. They're hard to look at and just kind of hard in general. Maybe it's a skill issue again. I know, but I'm just trying to get through these levels ASAP because I don't like them. The only thing they have going for them is the funky music. After arriving in this new area, there's a boss that walks around and stomps you, and you have to shoot him with a rocket, but it seems to miss so many times. It took me a lot longer than I'd like to admit, but after you beat him, you get the big ass shit stompers and get to use them. And the whole time, it's playing the most banger song of all time.
Coming to you live from Clearview Stadium, where local favorite Rayman is on hand to settle the score with the Hoodlums.
This is when I began to remember how much style this game had. This music and atmosphere, it definitely has a style of its time that it came out in, but I think everything in this game looks and sounds badass. From the beautiful fairy forest to the more darker underground levels. So after beating this boss, I ended my first day playing the game, and one thing I was really thinking about was the humor of this game. It has some okay jokes, and most are very cringe and crude humor, but there's a lot of things I didn't understand as a kid, and a lot of the jokes in here were super sexual.
Whoa! Come on, I'm kidding. Hey, I like that outfit on you. When does it come off? Don't be so touchy. I was told that after Rayman 2, I'd be cast as a tormented artist who falls for a girl with great big eyes.
I started off the second day with a cutscene of the doctor playing guitar on Glowbox to get Andre out, and I thought this was kind of weird now, but as a kid I thought this was hilarious. The doctor can't get Andre out and refers you to another doctor. After another rocket music weird travel level that gets cut short when you fall off and you are landed in a swamp, the Bog of Murk, where you fight an old witch that turns you into a frog, and when you hit her, she says something that my brother and I thought sounded like wham it, which my brother would say all the time to replace damn it and not get in trouble by our parents. After traveling through the swamp, you reach a mansion, and there's this hunter that you chase around the mansion as he shoots a gun at you. I felt a little scared playing this part. It was the first time I felt like I was being hunted in a game that made me feel a little anxious, especially when you see yourself through the scope of his rifle. After beating him in the basement of the level, you're greeted with a cutscene that I always remember being cool and cinematic, but then it gets sexual and weird for some reason.
Aha! There you are. Get ready for this. Oh!
My stallion! Finally, I can hold you in my arms.
Stay away. Gimme.
Oh yes, I've been naughty. Girl, punish me. I think I need to be grounded. Throw me in your cell and chain me to the bars.
Hey, Rayman! How are we gonna get to the doctors?
Glowbox sounds super different in this cutscene, I don't know why.
What the? Who turned off the nice music?
How are we gonna get to the doctors?
I know a lot of the voice actors were comedians, so maybe they couldn't get them for all the lines. I don't know. You then continue back to the original destination, the Land of the Livid Dead, which is where the first shoe battle is introduced. You get shrunk down to the size of your shoe and must ram yourself into the other shoe to continue, and I'm not a huge fan of these. They seem like a waste of time and aren't super fun. It shows up multiple times, so fuck the shoe parts. The next big boss is this giant robot that looks like a pumpkin head, I guess, and it looks super cool though. I figured out you can kind of cheese it just by flipping over and over again to make it shoot itself super quick. Then after that, you're on to the next doctor. That's a hippie looking doctor that plays the bongos on Glowbox and it still doesn't work to get Andre out. And then it's to the next doctor, and a rocket level, to the desert of Canarin. which gave me a feeling of dread, so I stopped playing that day. After getting dropped down in this hellish landscape, I knew what was coming. The level where I first felt fear as a kid playing a video game. The game has been giving you new abilities and ways to fight enemies, and then just throws you into a level where the enemies are completely invincible, scary looking, and make the most terrifying scream.
Let him run. He'd better with
You must run and outmaneuver the Canaran to get through these levels. This is the first time I played a game like this, and it gave me so much anxiety as a kid to the point where I didn't play it for weeks. I've been given similar feelings by playing games like Amnesia, Outlast, Resident Evil, but this is a kid's game. I did not expect this shit. I guess it was a different time, especially with all this humor. Hudo Hoodlum's Revenge made an incredible video going into detail about what makes this so scary, and I really recommend you watch it. After getting through this level a lot more smoothly since I'm not a kid anymore, the only thing that was annoying was these ghosts. You then get to fight the strongest of the Canaran, and you absolutely whoop his ass in a fun boss fight. Then it's to the last doctor, who brings all the previous doctors out, and they play a wicked song that gets Andre out of Glowbox. Andre immediately escapes and finds Reflux, the strong Canaran we just beat, and convinces him to join up to fight Rayman together. You must travel to take them down now, and you have to go through the longest shortcut, which isn't my favorite part. I like the balance of platforming and combat in this game, and this whole level is all platforming, which to me was a little boring. But it makes up for it with a cool boat level after that allows you to shoot cannons to protect the boat, which I had lots of fun with. After stepping off the boat, you're greeted with the summit beyond the clouds, which is a snow level. And I feel like every game around this time had to have a snow level, or maybe it's just a thing with platforming games, but a lot of them that come to mind usually have a snow level. And what comes with snow? Snowboarding. One of my favorite activities, so any snowboarding part of this game is going to be a 10 out of 10 for me. This snowboarding part then transitions into Hoodlum headquarters, where I saw horny Glowbox crash into a sexy, to him, not to me, female Glowbox, and that's where I ended up to stay, for no specific reason. The final day had me starting off flooding the Hoodlum headquarters and moving to the final stage, the Tower of Leptis. Leptis' dick's in your mouth? Leptis' dick fit in your mouth? Leptis' nuts? I think this level is a lot of fun. There's a lot of enemies of all different types, and after getting to this point, it's fun to use your toolbox of abilities to defeat all the enemies. After fighting a lot of enemies and traveling up a tower, you get to speed around with Glowbox in this flying vehicle, and this part is shit. The controls are so terrible for it, it feels very unpolished compared to the rest of the game. I was crashing into everything, and then it switches to a first-person shooter, which is also kind of lame. After getting ahead to the top of the tower, it's time for the final boss fight, which is a lot of fun. Reflux has multiple stages that use all the abilities and skills in order to defeat him, but the final stage uses the stupid flying vehicle, which is the only blemish on this amazing boss fight. After defeating Reflux and turning Andre back into a red lum, we see the world turn back to its former peace. Glowbox kind of misses Andre, and apparently the only way to turn a red lum back into a black lum is to scare it really bad, which Rayman's hands do after he falls asleep. And that's Rayman 3, Hoodlum Havoc. Rayman 3 still holds up to me. Despite my love for many other games on the Gamecube, Rayman 3 has a certain style in its art and gameplay that holds it a step above in my heart. It definitely has some flaws and stuff I don't fully enjoy, but its amazing combat, fluent controls, and platforming, music, graphics makes it my favorite game from the Gamecube era. It took me about 6 hours to play this game, and the world record for the any percent speedrun is 1 hour and 5 minutes, which is crazy. I looked into the runs, and the glitches and exploits that they use is so cool. Go check out the speedrun community for this game. I'll talk about extra stuff. There's some bonus videos in this game that I remember watching as a kid that are really weird. There's a boss and a few other characters that are left out of the game that I saw on the cutting room floor, and I saw that you can view in-game if you have a certain score near the end of the game. There's still stuff I'm finding out about this game despite beating it like 7 times already, and I just want you to give this game a try if you haven't before, or if you already played, just let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments.